In the Montana wilderness, where mountains carve deep shadows into the land, isolation is both a refuge and a risk. For Mountain Mike Keller, it was a choice, a dream of living in peace and isolation. But on Turk Road, peace is as fragile as the snowflakes that blanket the rugged terrain. The mountain's serenity was shattered by disputes over land use, nighttime gunfire, and, ultimately, murder. Mountain Mike's death is more than a tragedy, it's a warning. The case remains an unsolved puzzle. Michael Keller was no ordinary man. A recluse by nature, he moved to Turk Road for its pristine beauty and built the home of his dreams, simple, rustic, and entirely self-sufficient. With his loyal wolf dogs by his side, Mike thrived in his solitude. The 80-plus acres of pristine land were his sanctuary. But Turk Road had its own complications. The winding dirt road was neither public nor entirely private. To reach their homes, residents relied on rights of way, the legal right to traverse each other's property. This tenuous arrangement had worked for decades until the Meeks moved in. Jonathan Meeks was a former lawyer with a penchant for control. By claiming ownership of a significant portion of Turk Road, he barred his neighbors from crossing his land. Mike fought back, producing legal documents proving his right of way. But Meeks was relentless. The conflict escalated into blockades, trespassing complaints, and veiled threats. One winter evening, Mike filmed the confrontation on camera. Meeks, standing at the edge of his snow-covered property, said, "This is my land. You have no right here." Mike's response was firm but calm. "You can't stop me, Meeks. It's my legal right." The video ended with the sound of a gunshot in the distance. Mike's shaky but calm voice recounted the aftermath. "I don't know if you heard that, but a bullet just went over my head." Although Mike reported the incident to the sheriff's department, nothing was done. As winter approached, tensions mounted. Just as the feud with Meeks reached a boiling point, a new enemy emerged. Leon Ford, a Navy veteran turned landowner, bought a plot of land adjacent to Mike's. Unlike Meeks, Ford wasn't interested in legal arguments, he wanted access, and he was willing to fight for it. Their conflict erupted over a simple gate. Mike, protecting his land, had locked it to prevent Ford from cutting through. One day, Ford arrived with bolt cutters. When Mike confronted him, Ford raised his rifle and sneered. "Run, Keller. See how far you can get." Mike shared his fears with a friend, Chris Forbes. "Leon Ford is not like Meeks," he said. "He's a killer. They'll bury me in the snow." On June 26, Mike made a fateful decision. He agreed to meet with Leon Ford to work things out. That morning, he called his neighbors, Mark and Gloria Flynn. "Come with me," he urged. "I don't trust Ford." But they refused, advising Mike to record the meeting. A few hours later, Mike disappeared. 4 months passed without any sign of Mountain Mike. Then a ranger stumbled upon something horrifying, a partially buried bag of dismembered remains. DNA confirmed what everyone feared, it was Mike. Sheriff Leo Dutton described the scene as horrific beyond words. The body was tied with zip ties, decapitated. Mike's sister, Connie Keller, recalled their last conversation. "He said to me, 'Mom, if I die, tell them about that crazy guy down the road.'" Her voice cracked as she added, "Now I know he was saying goodbye." The investigation turned to Leon Ford. Surveillance footage showed his truck near Mike's home the day he disappeared. Zip ties matching those found on Mike's remains were traced back to a shipment Ford had purchased. Witnesses described Ford's history of threats and violence. The case seemed a clean slate. Ford was convicted of attempted murder. But his trial, 3 years later, ended in a shocking retrial. The jury cited reasonable doubt, leaving the Kellers devastated. Ford was set free. For Connie Keller, the retrial was not just a legal defeat but a betrayal. "We knew who killed Mike," she said, "but the system let him go." The once close-knit Turk Road community was silent. Meeks sold his property and disappeared, while Ford continued to live in suspicion. But for Mike's friends and family, questions remained. Was Ford the only one involved? Did the sheriff's department miss crucial evidence? Forensic experts reviewed the case years later, identifying gaps in the investigation. Blood evidence found on Ford's property was dismissed due to a procedural error. Footage from Mike's body camera, recovered months after his death, showed Ford holding a weapon, but the timeline is inconclusive. The case grew colder with each passing year. But Connie remained steadfast. "Justice isn't about revenge," she said. "It's about the truth, and Mike deserves that." Turk Road has changed since Mike died. New families have moved in, unaware of the tragedy that unfolded there. But to those who remember, the silence of the mountain seems heavier. On snowy nights, some say you can hear the faint howls of Mike's coyotes, still searching for their master. Others say the wind whispers a warning, "Beware the dark." For Connie Keller, the fight continues. She believes the truth will one day emerge, a piece of evidence, a confession, or a witness willing to speak. Until then, the case of Mountain Mike Keller remains an unsolved puzzle, a chilling testament to how quickly a lonely dream can turn into a nightmare. This case is more than just the story of one man and his land. It is the story of unchecked aggression, a system that failed, and a family searching for answers. If you have any information about the events on Turk Road, please contact the Lewis and Clark County Sheriff's Office. Together, we can bring justice. In the years since Mountain Mike Keller's tragic death, Turk Road has become more than a geographic location, it is a symbol of unresolved violence and broken trust. For Mike's sister, Connie Keller, the passage of time has only strengthened her resolve to uncover the truth. But the obstacles remain daunting. A closer look at the evidence reveals haunting contradictions. While Leon Ford remains the prime suspect, rumors of a larger conspiracy persist. Some neighbors have suggested that Ford and Meeks shared a common interest in driving Mike off his property, although there is no direct evidence that Meeks was involved in the crime. Could there have been more than one person involved in Mike's death? And if so, why would they go to such extremes? Law enforcement has also come under scrutiny. Sheriff Leo Dutton's office received multiple warnings from Mike before he was killed. His recordings, including one of a missed shot, were chilling cries for help. But officials did little to help, treating his concerns as a neighborhood feud rather than a life-or-death situation. As Turk Road tries to bury his dark past, the case serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of isolation and unchecked conflict. "We owe Mike more than memories," Connie said. "We owe him justice." I hope that somewhere, someone knows the missing piece that can solve this mystery. Until that truth is discovered, the shadow of Turk Road will remain.